Let's get it.
Welcome to our call. Today, this is our event code of conduct. As you've seen from our previous calls, just in essence, be nice, be welcoming, and be cooperative and creating a welcoming and safe environment for everyone. If you wanted to know more about what that is about, feel free to visit our link right here at ak.ms/code of conduct. So our menu of agenda items today, we have our announcements from myself, top Microsoft 365 updates. Our topic is Word, Excel, and PowerPoint agents and Microsoft 365 Copilot from our lovely guests, Alex and Chelsea today. And then we're going to have open discussion Q&A. For our guests today. So first, top announcements. In the world of events, we have the SharePoint 25th birthday event coming up starting next Monday, March 2nd. It's going to be a great event full of top leaders from Microsoft as well as the product team, and they're both going to be celebrating the SharePoint 25th birthday. Fun fact, the birthday is actually all the way back in March of 2001. So again, super great birthday time, and we're going to be highlighting SharePoint's most defining innovations over the past years, as well as a look forward to the future of what's coming up next from our top leaders. Next, we have in our community space, the Microsoft 365 Community Conference. This is going to be coming back in Orlando, Florida. It's going to be a very magical time where, attendees can choose on their own to go to either Universal or Disney as part of our event party on Wednesday. We have a Universal for our event party on Wednesday, and some folks used to choose to go on Friday as well to Disney. But again, very great time, as well as we're going to have a congregation of all different types of engineers, product leaders, as well as enthusiasts of Microsoft 365 products all around the world, especially to hear about the latest advancements in AI-driven tools and different hands-on experiences that you can be a part of. So make sure you snag a spot and learn more and register today, following our link in this slide above. All right, so as you can notice, we have Brian joining us today to help us with moderation. Jessie is actually in the land of New Zealand, and she's living out her Lord of the Rings dreams, and we are very happy for her. So she has subbed in today, which is Brian. And then in addition, we also have addition of the Copilot chat administration guide to the Copilot page, Frontier product scenarios, and product Frontier from Playbook to the Copilot page, as well as administration Copilot chat guide to the Copilot chat page. So there's going to be lots more on their release notes for adoption.microsoft.com. So if you wanted to learn what the latest on that is about, without further ado, I'm going to hand over the mic to Alex and Chelsea, and feel free to take over the control as well.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Today we've got a short presentation about the Word, Excel, and PowerPoint agents that's coming to Microsoft 365 Copilot. Chelsea and I are part of the product team that works on building these two agents. Our friend Sangeeta is actually was originally scheduled to be here, but she has a last-minute conflict. So I'll just get started with a super quick introduction about myself. My name is Alex, and I work primarily with all of our agents inside of the productivity space, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint agents primarily, but we're also very connected with all of the other teams that are building some of the other agents, such as researcher and analyst. I just super quick intro about me. I've been at Microsoft for I think 19 years now. It's been a minute. Originally grew up. I saw some folks here from Dallas. I grew up in Plano, Texas, which is a short hop away from there. But been in Seattle ever since. I guess that's pretty much it about me. Chelsea, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah. Hi, folks. I'm Chelsea. I've been working at Microsoft since 2016. And yeah, I'm also just kind of working in the Word agent space in Office AI. This is a super interesting space for me, especially because when I first started at Microsoft, if any of you remember Zoe, that was one of our chat bots that got a lot of negative attention. So it's really cool to see how far these tools are coming and like the magic of them that we're starting to be able to deliver deliver on. So really, really excited about this space and what we're starting to be able to do for our customers and for ourselves. So happy to be here. All right. Okay, so let's start a little bit with the why. So according to our 2025 Work Trend Index, a study of 31,000 people across 31 countries, 75% of knowledge workers now use AI at work, which is a huge jump from the past. But there's like a problem in this space, which is that the number one productivity drop-off is still the blank page. So documents, presentations, spreadsheets are these high-value artifacts of knowledge work. They're what gets shared with our leadership, what help close deals, what help drive decisions. But there's still this gap between what people know they need and actually getting the right result for what they actually want. So they know what they want, users do, but they sometimes struggle to get started. We've all been there. We're trying to create a status report and we're wondering, do I actually have to start this all by myself? And the answer is that you don't, but we'll get there. And so what really the industry is really moving from this blank canvas to conversation. So people are expecting AI to be a thought partner, to take their intent and produce a finished and professional artifact in minutes, as opposed to, just asking questions, Q&A. They really want that thought partner that's going to come along the journey with them and help them iterate on getting the output that they want. So that's really our new baseline. So if we go to the next slide here, let's see. Can I go to the next slide? Hold on. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so how are we solving this problem? We are bringing these powerful task-specific agents directly into Microsoft 365 Copilot and making it easier than ever to go from a user's intent to a professional output. And so here's kind of what these agents do. They turn natural language into finished documents, workbooks, presentations, not drafts, but really these finished products. They have enterprise quality output. So we're getting the benefit of having these professional layouts, themes, charts, and data visuals from PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. We also benefit from deep grounding in your enterprise data and in the web. Because of this Copilot license, agents pull from organizational files, emails, chats, and meetings while still respecting access policies. And what I was mentioning earlier, we're able to iterate and refine through continued conversation. So you don't just get one output, one and done. Really, you can ask to adjust tone, add sections, shorten content, whatever you need, and we'll be able to provide that with these agents. And the flow is really simple. There's really just kind of 3 steps in terms of how you go about working with these agents. First, you're going to access the agent, and you can do that through the tools in M365 Copilot Chat and via App Mention. And when you're actually getting to the agent, you're going to search it in the agent store. And then you can pin it on your left nav so that you can have persistent access and continue to get to it easily. So first, you're going to access the agent, and then you just describe your need. You tell it what you want in natural language, and then from there, you get the output, and you can review and refine. So that's a little bit more about how we're sort of working with this blank canvas space and really helping users get what they need. Okay, so now this next one, we're going to start sharing how do these agents work in action. So Word Agent really focuses on long form and structured writing, proposals, reports, guides, briefs. So we're just going to kind of play this video so you can see a little bit more about how this Word Agent works.
Word Agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot makes it easy to create documents from chat. Just open the agent and describe what you need, like a strategic plan, policy write-up, or technical paper. And watch as Word Agent gets to work. The agent starts by asking clarifying questions tailored to your prompt. With your sign-off, the agent begins creating, running quality checks along the way. Word Agent reasons across work data, like files, emails, meetings, and the web as it plans your document. In moments, your idea becomes a clear, well-structured document, ready for review, editing, or further analysis. The choice is yours to continue in chat or open Word to keep working.
All right, then we're going to play a similar short clip of the Excel agent.
Excel Agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot makes it easy to create spreadsheets from chat. You can start your workday by asking Copilot what's top of mind. Copilot pulls in the data based on your files, emails, and chats. Then @mention Excel agent and describe what you need, like a financial model, project tracker, or data analysis workflow. And off it goes thinking through your request. Excel agent starts by asking clarifying questions personalized to your prompt. With your approval, it gets to work running quality checks along the way. Excel agent reasons over the web, pulling in any additional information needed as it plans your workbook. In moments, your idea becomes a structured spreadsheet with built-in formulas and logic that you can continue to refine in chat, or open in Excel to finish working.
We've got PowerPoint.
PowerPoint Agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot makes it easy to create presentations from chat. Just open the agent and describe what you need, like an executive deck, market overview, or project update. That's all you need, and PowerPoint Agent gets to work. It starts by asking clarifying questions tailored to your prompt. With your approval, the agent begins building, running quality checks along the way. PowerPoint reasons across work data, like files, emails, meetings, and the web as it plans your presentation. In moments, your idea becomes a clear, well-structured presentation, ready for review, editing, or further analysis. It's easy to continue refining in chat or open PowerPoint to keep working.
All right, and then what Chelsea and I are going to do is we're going to take a few minutes and we're actually going to do a couple of live demos. Chelsea, were you able to get your computer ready, or do you want me to go ahead and do the demos?
Good question. My computer seems to be working, but I ran into a bit of a technical bug. The doc that I'm going to share is not my favorite document I've ever seen generated, but it still gives you a sense for the capabilities. Alex, if you have like a better Word doc, let me know. Otherwise, I can just share it. And that way, I mean, you can see the output and I can also share kind of like what it actually looks like, the UI and all of that. So let me know what you think is best, Alex. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to show you actually the main page. So let's say that I had done nothing and I was trying to use Word Agent, right? I had already kind of went into the agent store here. And I actually, you know what, I'm not going to do that quite yet. I would just kind of go into the agent store and I would find the Word agent, and then I could access it via a number of ways. I could do it via in chat by mentioning or adding it to the tool. Or I could just go directly in Word Agent, which is where I am right now. And so what I can do now is I might say something like, let's imagine I'm going to use this prompt. So I'm going to say, and I'm going to just change this a little bit. So I'm going to say, college, and I'm curious as to how that's going to affect my life. I'm sure this is relatable to many. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my prompt in there. I'm going to hit go, and then Word is thinking about it. And what it's going to do is it's going to give me a clarification question because it may want more information from me. Now, there are cases where it doesn't actually pull up that clarification UX if it feels like it has enough information. And so that might be one of these cases where it's doing this. I'm not going to make us actually have to go look at this for too long because there are more pieces that need to happen, and I might be running into a bug. So let me show you something else so you can actually see what this looks like. I had a feeling we might run into a bug. So here's another one. This is just like, hey, make me a doc about how to start a scrapbooking hobby. Maybe I want to start scrapbooking and I just want a little document created. So this is more of a consumer scenario. And so what might happen is that I'm going to see this clarification UX, right? It's asking me, hey, who is the target audience for this guide? What kind of tone would I prefer? And then I would select a theme. And what's important to note here is that the LLM itself is deciding what kind of questions to ask me based on what it knows about the ask that I have. And so from here, maybe I say, I'm a complete beginner and I want fun and casual. That sounds nice. And then maybe I want the metropolitan theme. So now I'm going to hit let's go. And then from here, you're going to see that Word Agent is working on it. It's going to start telling me a little bit more about what it's doing. So that's kind of this chain of thought that you're about to see showing up. So it's understanding your request. I'm not going to go through too much more of this, but you're going to see that it's kind of describing what it's doing. And eventually it will start actually generating an output like this. So this was another scenario that I put together around, okay, what are the best flowers to plant in Seattle for experienced gardeners? And I wanted something really comprehensive. And so it gave me a bunch of information here about climate. I even asked it, hey, can you actually tell me more about, I think it was like what flowers to plant in certain kinds of moonlight. I forget. It was very, very specific. I think it was this document. And it added it for me very easily. And so there's this multi-turn you can do with these agents where you're really able to say, hey, I want you to add this, I want you to change this, and it will go ahead and do that for you. And you're also always going to get these references sections to help you understand where it's getting the information it's pulling from. And as you noticed here, there's a bunch of different kinds of like tables and charts and things that it thinks are going to be really helpful for you for your scenario. So I'm going to pause there. And yeah, so this is just a few scenarios that you can kind of see.
Great. And then let me get my screen share going as well. And I'll be showing off a little bit about Excel Agent today. So Excel Agent looks and works very, very similar to Word Agent, and you'll find that PowerPoint Agent is the same as well. So they all have a very, very similar UI, and that we have our main prompt box, just like all the other agents. And today what I'll do is I'll just create, for instance, a financial model for Microsoft with revenue projections, expense tracking, cash flow, etc. And I'm not going to jump in through all of it, because it does actually take a while to go off and do some deep research on the internet. I think there was a question in the chat about like, hey, what are all the places that we get data from? So the agent is actually smart enough to go off into your work data and to research your work data when appropriate. And it also is able to complement that with a web search when appropriate as well. So like, for instance, in this particular question here, I don't work with any financial data for Microsoft, even though I am a Microsoft employee. So it actually knows to go off and do web research, data from the web, financials, revenue projections, etc. So it's like, again, we have the similar pattern like the Word Agent. It asked me a couple of questions. I was like, hey, just clarifying questions on what specificity you want from my document. And then to enter that, let's go. And then let me bring up kind of the finished document here. I think I just got one right here that I've already worked on. Give me 1 second for it to pull up and load. And what the agent does in the background is it creates a fully formed Excel spreadsheet with multiple tabs, with formulas, with pretty much everything that's needed to actually answer your question. So here's, for instance, the completed document. Let me make my window bigger so you can see. And it's pretty comprehensive. It went off, it pulled out real numbers, and it's very, very in-depth numbers. And you can see it creates a revenue model, expense model, cash flow scenario analysis, all of that. And the best thing about this is a fully formed Excel document. So it's got plus when appropriate as well. And I can just click open in Excel, and it will just immediately hand off to the Excel app. Once I'm inside of the Excel app, I can use I can say that we're really create a document. And on top of that, I can hand it off directly to agent mode inside of the Excel app if I want to do further refinements. So it's all part of a integrated solution. I think there was an earlier question in the Q&A about, hey, when should I be using agent mode inside of M365 Copilot, and when should I be using agent mode inside of the apps? And my personal preference is that when I am working in a chat first environment, when I'm trying to create documents, that's when these Word, Excel, PowerPoint agents are the most useful, because they go off and then they do research and they grab a whole bunch of data for me to give me the first draft. And then once I want to go and start doing iterative refinement, when I have very precise things I want to change. For instance, I want to update the style of all of the headers, or I want to change a particular factors or something. The agent modes inside of the apps are the best suited for that, because they are able to work very, very closely when you have the document, when you have all of the apps features side by side already. And the agent modes have access to all of those capabilities, so they can do very quick refinement with you. There's also, I saw a lot of discussion in the chat around, hey, like, are these agents going to take over our jobs? Like, what's the future that here? I don't think that's how we think about this at all. I think the way that we think about it is really these agents are a shortcut to help us be faster and more efficient at our jobs. Like, ultimately, you, the human user, you are responsible and accountable for the output of these agents, right? And just like any other tool, even though AI does a lot for you, the quality of the output really does depend on the user of the tool as well. If you are not very proficient and you don't give the AI agents a good prompt, you don't spend the time to really, really tell it precisely what you want, and if you don't iterate and you don't make improvements to the output you're going to get is probably going to be very different from the output of someone who has put in the time to work iteratively with the models, to really, really tune and adjust the styles, to really make sure that all the formulas are robust, to make sure that the storytelling inside of the documents is what they want it to be, right? There's still a very, very human element. I think the only difference is that the human role has moved away from, hey, just very, very precise creation from scratch into more of a editing, curating, and taste-making role. But me creating a financial model, I have no knowledge of how to build complex financial models. It's probably not going to be very good versus if I were to talk to one of my finance colleagues who does discounted cash flows all day every day for the past 10 years. I'm sure they will create a much, much better output than I ever can possibly can, even with the help of AI. So I think that's kind of how our approach to all of this really is like, do treat it as a tool that requires human involvement, a human curation and review and editing, and not just something that's going to where you can be brainless and it will just do 100% of the work for you and call it a day. So that's where we are with that. All right, let me turn off my screen share, and then Tiffany, if you want to throw back up the presentation. All right, so the last thing we have before we jump into some Q&A is we do have a couple of sample scenarios that you all can try. But these agents they're pretty flexible and they're pretty sufficiently powerful, and they can handle a variety of things that I don't think you really need to go off and copy these word by word. But I'm sure each and every one of you guys work with enough Word, Excel, or PowerPoint documents that you probably have an idea of what are the top things that you want to go off and try. So I highly suggest just playing around with it. The only caveat that I will note is that we are working on trying to make these agents much, much faster. Right now, one of our primary limitations is, of course, that these but they're highly capable. They are able to do deep reasoning, but at the expense of time. So they do take a little while. I think, just to be fully transparent, for the Excel scenarios, it took me about 7 to 8 minutes for the agent to go off and work. It's a great time for you to take a break, grab a coffee while it creates you the first draft. But it does take a little bit of time. But once it actually does have the draft ready for you, especially if you jump into the respective agent modes inside of the apps to make iterative changes, it should be relatively quick from there on out.
Yeah. And that's also true on the Word side. It's about that same amount of time. That's a good call out, Alex.
Yep. And absolutely, David, it is so much faster than doing it manually by myself. I think, for me personally, I wouldn't even be able to build a discounted cash flow analysis in the first place, but certainly it's a time saver. Yeah. All right. I think this is the Q&A portion. Just a quick time check here, Tiffany. How much time do we have for some Q&A?
Yeah, so I have a couple slides and then we'll officially open up, mics and cameras for folks that wants to raise their hands for some live questions. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. But while I do a couple slides, if you and Chelsea have time, you can go into Q&A. There's quite a bit of question buildup in there, and I'm sure we'll have a good amount of hand raises as well. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and take back control and then forward the slides, or I'll just go over my last couple slides and then we're going to go into Q&A. Alrighty. So yeah, thank you everyone for helping us with Q&A. As usual, per usual, we have tons of questions and in order to help our speakers just, keep track of the many questions that we get, we try to use Q&A for our questions, and then chat is usually for conversation, comments, suggestions to us. That's great for that. And then afterwards, I post a blog on our driving adoption blog on the Microsoft Tech community of our top Q&A. So that's kind of how this helps us congregate official questions and answers. Alrighty. So upcoming community events. We have a slew of different community events, both in the US and around the world. We have Exchange Summit in Wurzburg, Germany, Community Days Knoxville, that's created by one of our very great MVPs. I think his name is Daniel. So that's a great one to go to. Community Days events are free or very nominal fee, like up to $20 US. And then we have different events such as the Microsoft Fabric Community Conference, Atlanta, Georgia, as well as the Community Conference, Microsoft 365 Community Conference in Orlando, Florida. So if you wanted to explore other Microsoft events, you can click on that link below. If you wanted to hear about different sort of community-led events, or you don't see your own event on there and you want to submit for it and get promotion like community calls like these, you can actually find and be able to submit your event at communitydays.org or find an event near you also on communitydays.org. So highly recommend everyone to go check that website out. If you are viewing on demand after our call today, make sure you drop your questions in the Microsoft Tech Community Driving Adoption event page for this event, and we will try to get to your question in a timely manner. Before we get into Q&A, I want to remind everyone our next call, we are going to have the PowerPoint folks come on to showcase creation with Copilot in agent mode, and that'll be next call. And then we invite you to share your feedback for Microsoft 365 Champion Call feedback. Join our driving adoption community where you can ask yourselves, each other your questions, as well as read our upcoming blogs, and then invite your colleagues to become a champion. So our decks essentially are exclusive to this community. So after the call, there was a question in Q&A on where you can get the deck. The deck will be posted on our champion resources page 48 hours after today's call, and all our decks are editable, so you can use them and change them and present them to your own organization as you will.